As we step into 2024, the world faces a new set of challenges. From economic uncertainty to environmental crises, these are the top global risks that could shape our future. Think of it like this. The world is playing a game of Jenga and someone just pulled out the stable climate block. Except instead of little wooden blocks, we're talking about entire economies, ecosystems, and frankly, the very fabric of human civilization. Understanding these risks is the first step towards mitigating them. So let's unpack these global challenges together, shall we? Remember that game of Jenga we were talking about? Well, economic instability is the shaky hand hovering over the tower. We're talking about rising inflation that makes your morning coffee feel like a luxury item, the looming threat of recessions, and geopolitical tensions that make the Cold War look like a friendly snowball fight. Inflation is like that annoying friend who just keeps showing up uninvited, eating all your snacks and refusing to leave. Except instead of snacks, it's your purchasing power, and instead of leaving, it's driving up the cost of everything from groceries to gasoline. Now, add to this delightful cocktail the very real possibility of a global recession. The global economy is interconnected in a way that would make even the most tangled earbuds look straightforward, and a downturn in one region can ripple outwards faster than you can say supply chain disruption. And as if inflation and recession weren't enough to keep you up at night, let's not forget about good old-fashioned geopolitical tensions. From trade wars to actual wars, the world is starting to feel a bit like a high school cafeteria, with various factions vying for power and influence. Remember when climate change was something we could just sort of ignore, like a distant relative's wedding invitation? Well, those days are gone, my friends. Climate change is no longer a future threat. It's our present reality, and it's about as subtle as a Category 5 hurricane. We're talking about extreme weather events that make your average thunderstorm look like a light drizzle. Heat waves so intense they could melt asphalt and your will to live. Floods that could make Noah look like an amateur boat builder. And don't even get me started on the wildfires that are turning entire forests into smouldering wastelands. The effects of climate change are only going to get worse in the coming decades, leading to food shortages, mass migrations, and conflicts over dwindling resources. Remember that high school cafeteria analogy from earlier? Well, the lunch ladies just announced that the chocolate milk is gone, and things are about to get really ugly. Geopolitical tensions are simmering all over the world, and all it takes is one wrong move to ignite a global conflagration. We're talking about conflicts in Eastern Europe, territorial disputes in Asia, and proxy wars in the Middle East that make the Cold War look like a friendly game of Risk. The global balance of power is shifting, and some countries are resorting to increasingly aggressive tactics to assert their dominance. Think of it like a global game of musical chairs, but instead of chairs, it's global influence, and instead of music, it's the sound of tanks rolling across borders. The erosion of democratic norms and the rise of strongmen leaders is a worrying trend, to say the least, and one that has the potential to lead to conflict and instability on a global scale. Adding fuel to the fire is the very real threat of nuclear proliferation. Remember that feeling when you realize you left your phone at the bar? Now imagine that feeling, but instead of your phone, it's the entire global financial system. That's the level of panic we're talking about when it comes to cybersecurity threats. As technology becomes more sophisticated, so do the bad guys who are trying to exploit it. We're talking about state-sponsored hackers, cybercriminals and hacktivists who are constantly probing for weaknesses in our digital infrastructure. And these aren't just petty criminals trying to steal your credit card information, although that's still a thing. We're talking about attacks on critical infrastructure like power grids, hospitals and government agencies. A successful cyber attack on these systems could cripple entire countries, causing widespread blackouts, disrupting essential services and sowing chaos and panic. Remember when people could disagree respectfully, like civilized human beings? Yeah, me neither. It seems like these days everyone is shouting past each other, retreating to their echo chambers and demonizing anyone who dares to hold a different opinion. Social and political polarization is on the rise globally, and it's tearing apart the very fabric of our societies. There are a multitude of factors contributing to this polarization: economic inequality, social media algorithms, political opportunism, and the decline of traditional media, to name a few. If we don't find a way to bridge the divide and have productive conversations, it's only going to get worse. So there you have it, a hearty stew of global risks, simmered to perfection in the cauldron of 2024. Feeling a bit overwhelmed? Don't worry, you're not alone. But before you reach for that bottle of wine, or three, let's take a deep breath and remember that all is not lost. While these challenges may seem insurmountable, it's important to remember that we, as a global community, have faced daunting obstacles before. And just like we've overcome past challenges, we can overcome these as well, but only if we act now, and only if we act together. First and foremost, we need to acknowledge the interconnectedness of these risks. By understanding these linkages, we can develop more holistic and effective solutions. These risks may seem daunting, but they also present opportunities for change. By understanding and addressing these challenges, we can work towards a more secure and resilient future. The world is at a crossroads, facing a complex web of interconnected challenges. But amidst these challenges lies an opportunity to reimagine our systems, to rebuild our communities, and to create a future that is more just, equitable, and sustainable for all. It requires a collective effort, one that transcends national borders, political ideologies, and socio-economic differences. Stay informed, stay prepared. Subscribe to our channel for more insights into the world's most pressing challenges.